6 years after dying, I returned from the underworld to settle a massive debt. An orphan with no family, my first stop was my best friend. As I stepped into her mansion, alerts flashed before my eyes. The tragic heroine is losing it, smashing all the husband's luxury gifts. Her spouse cheats, her child ignores her, she's been on the verge of suicide. No one dares enter. Wait, who just ripped the door off its hinges? That was me. I caught her wrist just as she was about to cut herself. Claire, you know I'm terrified of snakes, except when it comes to that Bulgari Serpeni bracelet on you. Pause on the dying. I've got debts to pay from the underworld. She blinked, dropped the knife, and suddenly lunged at me. You little, never visit in dreams, but come running when you owe a debt? The floating comments were aghast. Now that's a friendship that doubles as a home invasion. When I barged into Claire's master bedroom, she was poised over her wrists, the knife trembling in her hand. The staff were frozen, unsure whether to intervene. I acted first, seizing her wrist and giving a cheeky thumbs up. Well, bestie. Showing off your $1 million Bulgari without me. Huh. Claire's eyes went wide, disbelief written all over her face. The staff in the doorway were equally stunned. Floating comments appeared like fireflies in the air. Lady, she's trying to kill herself and you're gawking at her bracelet. Somehow that feels incredibly tone-deaf. Her eyes, swollen and red, shimmered with tears and raw shock. I remembered the old Claire, vibrant, beautiful, with her long curly ponytail bouncing as she laughed, brimming with hope. She had always said, Ava, when Murray and I get married, you have to be there. Now, she looked fragile and hollow, her face pale, her hair tangled, silk pajamas rumpled from restless tugging. She had wasted away to the point where a single touch might crumble her. My chest tightened painfully. 6 years. And here she was, staring at me as if she had just woken from a dream, trying to process my return. I used her silence to snatch the fruit knife from her hand and finally get a proper look at that glittering bracelet. Bestie, I've always been scared of snakes, I said, grinning. But I'll make an exception for Bulgari. Looking at my own bare wrist, I felt a pang of envy. Boldly, I reached out. Friends share everything. Take that diamond-encrusted thing off, and let me try it. The staff gawked as though I'd grown another head. One of them finally blurted. Who let you in? That's $1 million bracelet. You really think she's handing it over? Claire stopped crying mid-sentence. Messily wiping her tears, she slid the bracelet from her wrist and onto mine. Her voice was hoarse, trembling with emotion. If you told me you liked it, I would have gotten you one too. The staff exchanged stunned glances. She actually gave it to me? Once the staff had shuffled away, I glanced at the empty doorway, then hauled the door I'd ripped off back into place, barricading the entrance like a proper dramatic entrance. Ignoring the ridiculousness of the moment, I pulled a crumpled piece of paper from my pocket, an IOU, and presented it with my most innocent, flattering grin. Bestie, guess what little gem I brought back for you from my trip to the underworld? Claire's mood was still dark, but at least the thought of ending it all seemed temporarily banished. That changed the instant she unfolded my IOU, an outrageously enormous sum. Her expression shifted instantly, morphing back into the fiery, untamed Claire I remembered from school. The vacant, lost stare vanished. In its place, sharp-eyed fury. She snatched the fruit knife I had tossed aside and started after me, voice booming enough to scare the birds from the garden.
Ava.
You lazy little, never show up in my dreams, but now that you're in debt, you crawl to me? Do I owe you from a past life, or something? I'll kill you. If I can't be happy, no one can. I raised my hands, weaving between furniture.
Whoa.
Bestie, hold up. Let me explain. The butler arrived, having missed the whole prequel, and took in the chaos with a calm, almost clinical detachment. He pulled out his phone. Hello, sir? You won't believe this. Madam, who could barely stand this morning, is now chasing someone around the room with a knife. Claire refused to cover my debt. Instead, she sentenced me, without mercy, to repay it by working as a maid in her mansion. $10,000 an hour, mind you. So, begrudgingly, I began my reluctant career in housekeeping. Her emotional state was so fragile that she often broke things and frequently couldn't bring herself to eat. One evening, another untouched dinner returned to the kitchen left the staff demoralized. The head chef even started questioning his own skills. I glanced at the floating comments. The heroine is refusing food. This is heartbreaking. After her parents went bankrupt and jumped years ago, she's completely alone. Her husband doesn't care. Her son ignores her. I'd have given up. Later, the male lead is going to make her donate a kidney to his mistress, almost killing her, then begin his redemption arc. Can't wait. I stormed into the kitchen, venting my frustration on the vegetables. Each chop felt like justice for a certain cheating jerk. I made a steaming bowl of noodles and proudly presented it to Claire. She turned away, eyes hollow, completely uninterested. Even when I tried to coax her into eating, nothing worked. I feel sick just looking at it, she said flatly. I raised an eyebrow, picked up a piece of beef with my chopsticks, and sang in my most playful voice. Incoming airplane. Ah. Her mouth opened wider than my fist. Women. The comments went wild. Who is this Ava? She's killing me. She knows exactly how to handle the heroine. Look, the heroine is finally putting on some weight. Her skin is glowing again. Her beauty is back. Ava keeps calling her bestie. Who is she? I've never even heard of her before. Over time, staying close to Claire started to make a difference. Her breakdowns became less frequent, her eyes a little brighter. During my time in the underworld, I'd seen everything. The last decade of her life played like a cruel movie. I knew about the nightmares that haunted her, the same one where her parents leapt from that rooftop. I knew about the daily humiliation she endured because of Murray's mistress, how he ignored her pain, how he pushed and twisted her until there was nothing left but a hollow shell of the woman she used to be. He had crushed her completely. Today, after much persistence, I convinced her to take a stroll in the garden. The comments filled the air with teasing admiration. A best friend's words are more powerful than any man's. If the male lead told her to do this, she'd have thrown a pillow at him. Wait, isn't this the part where her little devil of a son comes home with the grandparents? Ava, you better keep Claire away from Leo. That kid treats his own mother like a stranger. Before I could blink, the prediction came true. 2 elegantly dressed elders entered the garden, dragging along a little boy. Claire and I were squeezed together on the swing chair, giggling and fighting over space like children. The moment Leo saw us, he froze, then scowled. His toy car hit the ground with a dramatic thunk as he stormed over. Get off. That's my swing. He started pushing Claire's legs with all the force his tiny body could muster. The joy drained from Claire's face. She instinctively grabbed my hand, whispering, Leo, please don't. The comments turned mournful. How can you hate the mother who carried you for 10 months? He's his father's son, all right. A mini monster. Can someone please spank this kid? I volunteer as tribute. I tilted my head at the little brat, hands on his hips, pouting like a prince. He even looked like Murray. Leo gave a smug snort, confident his mother wouldn't dare touch him. That smirk sealed his fate. With a grin, I grabbed his ear, hauled him onto my lap, and delivered a few sharp, satisfying swats. Smack. Smack. The grandparents, who had been watching from afar, suddenly exploded into motion, canes flailing. Who is this lunatic? How dare you touch my grandson? Let him go at once. Leo howled at the top of his lungs. Grandma, Grandpa, she's hurting me. Save me. I didn't stop. His cries only fueled me. You little terror. If your mother won't teach you manners, your godmother will. By the time I released him, his grandparents were shrieking for the staff. Security. Someone call security. The comments were in chaos. Oh my god, she actually did it. Ava, my hero. Wait, is the heroine laughing? She looks like she's enjoying watching her son get disciplined. She's smiling, like really smiling. This is the first time she's looked alive. The staff rushed in, only to freeze at the sight of the scene. Leo, red-faced and furious, charged at me with his tiny fists. His grandparents followed, shouting. Claire finally snapped, stepping in to separate everyone. Before Leo's punch even landed, I threw myself onto the ground dramatically. Help! I'm being attacked by a child. Call the authorities. Leo's a menace to society. The boy blinked, startled. I didn't even touch you. You're lying. That was the final straw for Claire. She shoved everyone aside, grabbed Leo by the collar, and landed a few swift smacks of her own. Leo wailed louder than ever. His grandparents froze, mouths hanging open. Claire, you've gone mad. I'm calling Murray right now. The staff pleaded. Madam, please. The master will be furious if you hit the young master. But Claire's voice was icy and firm. Leo, What have I told you about hitting people? He sobbed. I'm sorry. I was wrong. Please stop. The staff fell silent. The grandparents fell silent. Everyone simply stared as Claire finally stood up for herself. Who are you apologizing to? She demanded. I leaned down, whispering, It's Godmother. Leo's face turned scarlet. I'm not calling that mean Lady Godmother. Claire raised her hand again. Leo broke. I'm sorry, Godmother. I was wrong. I nodded approvingly. The comments exploded like fireworks. This is revolutionary. The heroine's finally disciplining her son. She's showing more backbone now than when her husband flaunted his mistress. Ava, you're officially the hero of this entire story. Claire, you touch my best friend, and I'll end your whole bloodline. The grandparents were fuming. One of them immediately called Murray. You need to come home right now. Your wife and her accomplice are staging a rebellion. Murray and his beloved mistress, Stella, caught the next flight home, a 10-hour trip that probably left their behind sore. Good. They deserved it. When they arrived, the house looked like a war zone. The comments were buzzing with nervous energy. Oh no, the heroine didn't just hit her son. She may have kicked her in-laws too. The grandparents haven't even showered because they want to preserve the evidence for Murray. I can't stop laughing. The mistress came along. Of course she did. He probably brought her just to twist the knife deeper. Murray's expression was priceless, somewhere between constipation and disbelief. Stella started first, her voice sugary sweet and dripping venom. Claire, what's this chaos? Murray and I were having the perfect vacation. Did you pull this stunt just to drag him back? Her words fanned the flames of Murray's anger. But when he looked at Claire, he faltered. She wasn't pale or frail anymore. Her skin glowed, her eyes were clear. For a second, she looked just like the woman who'd once made heads turn in college. And that infuriated him even more. Claire, he said coldly, if you make trouble again, your grandfather will pay the price. The threat cut deep. Claire stiffened, her mouth opening to defend herself. I didn't. I stepped forward. Whoa. Someone's breath could peel paint. Murray, did you fly here without brushing your teeth? That threw him off. He blinked, finally noticing me. His mother jabbed a finger in my direction. That one. She's the troublemaker who started this mess. I smiled sweetly. When Murray got a proper look at me, his face drained of color. You, Ava? But you're supposed to be dead? He didn't finish the word, but he didn't have to. He had been at my funeral. Claire had begged to go see me one last time despite being pregnant, but Murray and his mother refused, claiming it was bad luck for the baby. When she tried to go anyway, they'd locked her in, and she'd nearly thrown herself off the balcony just to be allowed to say goodbye. He'd seen my photo at the funeral hall. He knew, and yet here I stood. The tension was shattered by Stella's chirping voice. Why hasn't Leo called me mommy today? At her words, Leo lit up and ran straight into their arms. He was about to greet her when he saw me glaring. I casually scratched my neck. He froze, swallowed his words, and hid behind Murray's legs. Murray's eyes burned into me. I don't care if you're a ghost or a trick. Get out of my house. Claire suddenly rose from the sofa and stood tall in front of me. Murray, this is my house. You're the one who should leave. The comments roared. The audacity. This house came from her parents. He has no right to kick her out. And he brings his mistress here like it's his property? Trash behavior. Wait, wasn't the doctor who saved her grandfather's life actually doing it because of Ava? Not because of Murray. OMG, you're right. He had a crush on Ava back in high school. HOLY. That explains everything. Wait, what? Me? Someone had a crush on me. Why am I finding this out after I died? Oh right. Technically, that's the only time you could have told me. Murray's glare could have frozen fire. His lips pressed into a tight line, the words forced out between clenched teeth. Claire, you're telling me to leave? Leo's grandmother immediately jumped in, voice shrill with indignation. Ungrateful little girl. Do you think we wanted to live here? If it weren't for you insisting, we'd have chosen one of our other mansions. Leo's grandfather joined the tirade. Claire, when your family went bankrupt, we advised Murray to divorce you. He refused. People should show gratitude. What other family would put up with a neurotic daughter-in-law like you? At that moment, everything clicked. I finally understood why Claire had teetered on the edge of madness for so long. Claire snapped. She grabbed an ashtray from the table and flung it at the elderly pair, eyes blazing with fury. The ashtray thudded into the carpet without breaking, but the shock alone sent the grandparents stumbling back. Murray lunged, gripping her wrist like he wanted to crush it. "I warned you." Another outburst, "and I'm sending you to a mental hospital." Leo turned pale. "No, Daddy, don't." Even Stella froze. She hadn't expected Leo to side with his mother. She opened her mouth to protest. Smack. The sound rang through the room. Murray's cheek was already swelling. Claire had landed the slap with every ounce of her strength. Before he could retaliate, I stepped between them. "If you can't handle her, then get a divorce." The room went silent. Murray erupted. "Are you insane, Ava? You actually dared to suggest Claire divorce me?" Even Claire blinked. Divorce was Murray's line in the sand. He'd never allow it, fearing her grandfather would be left unprotected. But I gave her a reassuring glance. She drew in a deep breath, voice steady and clear. "Murray, there hasn't been a single moment in years when I haven't wanted a divorce. So let's do it." Murray froze. "What did you just say?" The comments exploded. "HELL yeah. Queen Ava strikes again. Finally, the heroine is waking up. If all love has turned to hate, the courthouse is the next stop. Ava has her back completely. I can't even with this friendship, so powerful." Claire called security and had Murray and his entire family escorted from the mansion. Silence fell. The staff resumed their duties as if nothing had happened. I watched Claire ascend to her room. Her fragile frame drew sympathetic comments. "The heroine needs time alone to process this. She's been fighting against everyone for years. She's exhausted." "Wait. Ava's following her upstairs again? Did she just pick the lock?" I found her curled up in bed, quietly sobbing. I launched into chatter, careful not to tread on the emotional landmine. Pulling back her covers, I wore my most innocent grin. "Bestie, are you crying?" "Bestie, can I raid your closet?" Through muffled tears, she whispered, "Go ahead, most of it's never been worn. Limited editions." Then she sank back into her sadness. Undeterred, I rifled through clothes, jabbering nonstop. "Do you remember anyone who liked me in high school? Someone had a crush." Her cries paused briefly. "Who? Why didn't I know?" Then back to tears. I held up a dress in front of the mirror, trying on a few combinations. One of us enjoying fashion, the other lost in sorrow. A maid passed by, dumbfounded. Claire was fragile. Any wrong word could trigger her. But I nudged her. "Hey, how does this look? Something feels off." Instantly, her focus snapped. She studied my outfit, offered critique. "Purple is too flashy. Try a camel jacket instead." The maid nearly fainted. I added, "And you have too few accessories. Nothing works with this." Claire stared at her wall of jewelry boxes, considering, then nodded. "You're right. We'll go shopping this afternoon." The comments were incredulous. "This friendship is a full-blown home invasion, LOL. Queen Ava knows exactly how to cheer up the heroine. This is exactly how my best friend and I are. She gives advice while I cry, and it makes perfect sense." Next, we visited Claire's grandfather in the hospital. I carefully shared everything I'd learned from the comments, omitting the fact I could see them. Claire's disillusionment with Murray deepened. She realized the man she'd thought saved her grandfather was a liar. Her determination to divorce him hardened. In recent days, Murray had been deliberately cruel, refusing divorce while flaunting intimate photos with Stella online. But Claire didn't care. Her lawyer filed the papers immediately, citing infidelity and demanding an equal division of assets, supported by chat logs and videos. The divorce was inevitable. At the hospital, the sight of the frail elder made my heart ache. Back in high school, he had cooked lavish meals for me. Now illness had ravaged him. A tall figure in a white coat entered. A single glance confirmed my suspicions. Flashback. I had been a bit of a delinquent in high school, obsessed with the popular jocks, trying to run a $2 protection racket at the school gate. I was laughably ineffective until a quiet, introverted boy with glasses handed me $5 and asked, "Can you protect me?" I felt honored, promising to keep him safe. His name was Marcus Cole, bullied for being too smart and too popular. One day, seeing him attacked in an alley, I grabbed him and ran. He smiled, not because of the fight, but because my ponytail kept whipping him in the face. Eventually, my grandfather arrived and handled the bullies with ease. I never knew my parents. Abandoned at birth, it was my grandfather who found me and gave me a home. Two people mattered most. Him and Claire, who was the light during my school years when no one else accepted me. Grandpa loved romance novels. When he saw me dragging Marcus away, he assumed it was a boyfriend and invited him in, saying, "You're the first boy Ava's ever brought home." Marcus, usually stoic, asked, "Who was the first girl?" Grandpa chuckled. "Claire, of course. She's Ava's main wife. You'll have to settle for concubine status." After that, Marcus and I had little contact. That evening, my grandfather invited him to stay for dinner. During the meal, I casually mentioned the protection money incident. Grandpa nearly lost it. He scolded me, confiscated my $10 allowance, and handed it to Marcus as an apology. Marcus initially refused, but Grandpa insisted, and I watched, embarrassed and heartbroken, as the boy accepted it. With my final year of high school starting, I never saw Marcus again. Meanwhile, the comments went wild. Confirmed. He had a crush on Ava. He can't stop looking at her. Major plot twist. He secretly attended her funeral, and now she's alive. There's a line about him burning paper money. Was it for Ava? That explained all the mysterious deposits in my Underworld account. I tried to stay low, not wanting too many people to know I was alive again. Marcus, however, kept inching closer, trying to speak to me. I slipped away just in time. Claire gave me a look that said, "Are you serious?" Meanwhile, down the hospital corridor, a commotion caught my attention. A plump woman was yelling, voice sharp, "I don't care. Your son owes an apology, and you'll pay me. Otherwise, you're not leaving." I recognized the small figure surrounded by adults immediately. Leo. Beside him, a suited man, likely the Tan family's butler, spoke on the phone, gently patting Leo's shoulder. "Young master, Mr. Tan is busy. If you apologize, this will all be resolved." Leo, frustrated beyond endurance, finally snapped. "I won't. I didn't do anything wrong. Daddy said I don't have a mommy. But I do." Daddy lied. "Mommy hates me." The boy across from him, a miniature gangster with a swagger way beyond his age, taunted. "You don't have a mommy. No one wants to play with you. Your mommy doesn't want you, your daddy doesn't like you either." His mother, instead of correcting him, stood defiantly. "I don't care if you're some young master. My son's a world-class pianist. You can't pay compensation in a million years." Leo lunged forward, humiliated and furious. I caught him by the collar, signaling him to stay quiet. The butler tried to report the scene to Murray. I grabbed the phone mid-call, ready to unleash. "Murray, are you serious? This is the example you're setting. You're a terrible husband, a terrible father. You'd be better off as a dog. Your son is being bullied, and you're nowhere to be found. Claire must have been blind to fall for you. Why don't you just go die in someone else's bed?" I smashed the phone to the floor. Silence fell, broken only by the butler holding up the shattered pieces, muttering about reimbursement. Claire gave me a death glare. The plump woman glared at me. "Who are you? His mother? Your child needs manners. Your godson hit my son." I exaggerated a sigh. "True, but if you'd waited, the wound would have healed on its own." We faced off, forehead to forehead like two raging bulls. "Apologize to my son," she demanded. "Apologize to my godson." I shot back. "I won't." "What'll you do?" "Ooh, I won't apologize. Your son hit my godson too. Can you compensate for the CEO he'll become?" The tension evaporated. The comments erupted. "Queen Ava wins all petty battles, every time." The woman, enraged, tried to drag Leo to the police. A firm hand grabbed her wrist. Claire had arrived. "What are you doing? Calling the police on my son?" She held up her phone. "This is security footage. Your son started it. He was abusive first. Do you really want to escalate this?" Leo, overwhelmed, burst into tears, clinging to Claire. "I'm sorry, Mommy. I love you. I won't lie anymore." Claire kept her composure, glaring at the now panicked woman. "Still want money? Still want an apology? Your son is the one who should be apologizing." Terrified, the boy stammered his apology repeatedly. Leo wiped his tears, looking at me sheepishly. "I'm sorry, godmother. I thought you were stealing Mommy." I pinched his cheek, smiling. "Your godmother forgives easily." The butler awkwardly held up the remains of his phone. "Madam, your friend broke my phone. You'll reimburse it, right?" Claire glared at me, clearly weighing strangulation as an option. As we left the hospital, Marcus finally caught up to us. A black Porsche screeched to a halt, and Murray emerged. Marcus called my name. I pretended not to hear, but he grabbed my arm. "Ava, I know it's you. I've never met anyone who can run that fast. Busted. Murray, looking haggard, approached Claire. Claire, I don't want a divorce. If I admitted I was wrong, would you forgive me? She ignored him completely, walking past without a glance. Humiliated, Murray turned on Leo. You're not going home? What trouble did you cause this time? Claire shoved him back. He's my son. He's staying with me. Now leave, understood. Seizing the opportunity, Marcus stepped in. Mr. Tan, did you ever tell Ms. Liu what I requested? Her grandfather's recovery is progressing well. He'll be ready for transfer soon. Claire paused. Transfer. Marcus nodded. Yes. We can move him to a facility in B-City temporarily. He might even regain full consciousness. Murray said nothing. He'd deliberately hidden the truth to keep Claire trapped. Claire's voice dropped. Murray, you are truly disgusting. I trailed her silently. Marcus, still flustered, hadn't managed to speak to me directly once. Marcus had helped us tremendously, and Claire insisted on rewarding him generously. Her mood had improved dramatically over the past few days. Bright, free, and alive again, she ignored Murray's daily messages begging for reconciliation. The court ruled in her favor. Half of Murray's assets were now hers. But Claire didn't stop there. She exposed everything: fraudulent company dealings, illegal fund transfers, and backroom corruption. Murray's life imploded. His company was seized. Protesters swarmed his offices and mansion. His parents were beaten nearly to death and hospitalized. Even Stella, his mistress, was ruined. Her ambitions in entertainment, backed by Murray, collapsed. She became a social pariah. Murray's passport was confiscated, forcing him into hiding. One night, drunk and desperate, he appeared at our door. Jealousy burned in his eyes as he saw Claire and Leo thriving without him. Claire, I was wrong, please help me. I kicked Stella out. She means nothing to me. I only did it to spite you when I thought you didn't love me anymore. Claire slapped him and laughed coldly. Pathetic, Murray. Did you really think I'd want you back after all you've done? Every humiliation, every betrayal. You deserve everything coming to you. Go to prison. Murray sobbed uncontrollably. What did I do wrong? I just love you. We were happy in high school. Please, one more chance. His life had completely unraveled. His parents had stolen money and fled. Gangsters he owed debts to had tortured him. He had barely survived, and now the woman he loved was sending him to prison. In despair, he ran into the street without looking. A car struck him, throwing him through the air. His life ended instantly. The driver? Stella. She'd snapped too. Declared mentally ill, she was confined to a psychiatric hospital. Her illness, her financial struggles, and lack of a kidney donor ensuring her slow suffering. That, according to the comments, was her karma. Claire's life flourished. The mansion felt too large for one person, and she asked me to move in. I hesitated. I hadn't told her the truth. The massive debt was a lie. I had traded all my savings with the king of the underworld for 6 months back in the living world. Eventually, I would have to return. I declined her invitation outright, giving only a vague, "I'll think about it." She rolled her eyes. You think I'm begging, Ava? The next morning, a check lay on my bedside table. $100 million. A sticky note read, "Is $100 million enough to pay off the underworld? Stay and be with me forever, Ava." I cried, not because of money, but because Claire was such a fool, believing everything I'd said. Buried in my pillow, I felt something hard. A piece of candy. I remembered Leo, secretly asking the night before about my favorite candy flavor. His expression had screamed, "I'm going to surprise her." At that moment, a text from an unknown number appeared. "Ava, I know it's you. I'm so glad you're back. Thank you, Marcus." I left a note for Claire on a sticky note. "Claire, if you ever try to kill yourself again, I swear I'll haunt your dreams and strangle you myself." The comments erupted. "Queen Ava, why do good people have to suffer? Wah. My heart aches for Queen Ava. Stop feeling sorry for her. The person burning paper money for her is now making her the richest in the underworld. We can send her paper money? I'll send 100,000. Can everyone else keep up? Wait, the comments could actually send me money? And the bracelet, the candy, the running shoes, who had this much free time?" It didn't matter. I smiled, buried in my pillow, feeling for the first time that life, real life, was mine to enjoy.